Let's follow Tiudung's apocalyptic journey together, guys. The main character of this story is Kuong Tiudung. Right now, he is hanging on his back on a cage filled with bloodthirsty zombies. Xiaoyong's ex-girlfriend laughed at him and reminded him that his friends were all dead, but his meaningless life would soon end and he could go down and reunite with them. Thinking back to what happened, Zhang Xiaoyong couldn't forgive himself for making things happen like this. It was all his fault. Or rather, it was his fault for trusting this woman who deserved to die 100 times more. He cursed her as a way of expressing his helplessness. But to her, all your threats are nothing to be afraid of. She has found a strong, rich boyfriend, and now she asks to deal with you. He does not refuse, but offers to torture you slowly so that he can vent her anger, before pressing the thank you button for the supplies he left behind. Thanks to his generosity, they were able to live comfortably for a few months. Immediately, Tiudung was dropped into the zombie cage. To these creatures, nothing is different. Only living people are the only thing they crave in this world. Tiudung was tied up and unable to resist. He swore that if he could live again, he would definitely make this couple pay. Suddenly, Tiudung woke up and heard Thoi Tin's sour voice. She is demanding an explanation from you. She wants to know why you haven't put her name on the house papers yet. She is questioning if you don't love her at all. He immediately looked around to regain his composure. Immediately, he realized what had happened. Xiaoyong was reincarnated before the apocalypse. In his previous life, he was deceived by Thoi Ting. She not only took over the inheritance that his parents left him, but also turned him into a homeless person. The apocalypse began. Stupid people turned into zombies and pushed the world into chaos. Even in this situation, Tiudung was not panicked. He and his friends were able to manage and survive. After wandering for a while, they built a safe base where they did not have to fear the bloodthirsty zombies. Thanks to the abundant supplies, they were able to live there for many months after that. And then that Tu Tin appeared. Again, she pretended to be in a desperate situation and joined in, and then he was moved. Then at night, she opened the door for his enemies to break in. Back to reality, he glared at her. She asked him to give her 400,000 yuan in dowry without missing a single cent. She acted the same as before. She thought he was infatuated with her, but she didn't know he had seen her rotten nature. But this time, it will be different. He will not let this devil suck his blood again. However, Tiudung thought he had to act carefully. Being too hasty could harm himself. At this time, Thoi Tin told him she would give him 1 week to do what she asked, otherwise there would be no wedding. But contrary to what she thought, he kicked her out of the house. He said he understood and asked her to leave quickly. Thoi Tin was a little unfamiliar with Tiudung's attitude and didn't understand what was going on. Since when did a dog following her become so aggressive? She wondered, had he changed his mind about marrying her? Until now, when get rid of that annoying traitor, Tiudung looked around to determine his current situation. Now there is only 1 month left. I must prepare immediately to face the apocalypse, or it will be too late. At this moment, a notification appeared in front of Tiudung like a game screen. This is a mission. As soon as you activate your system, your mission is very simple. Prepare for the end of the world to complete it. Tiudung needs to get a piece of land for himself and prepare necessities for 1 year. When the mission is completed, you will receive 10 points. These points can be exchanged for rewards in the exchange area. Tiudung was extremely excited about this reward. The task rewarded cumulative points, he wondered, but what could these cumulative points do? The system screen immediately changed. Tiudung saw that there were supply boxes and energy pills like physical enhancements. But at this moment, Tiudung was distracted by his growling stomach, which was beating the drum of protest, demanding to be filled right now. Tiudung almost forgot that he had to live very frugally to save up money for the dowry for Thoi Tin, which caused him to be almost malnourished. Now Tiudung decided not to live like that anymore. He decided to order a sumptuous dinner as a reward for himself. After 1 month, zombies will be everywhere, so now reward yourself with a delicious meal. First, you have to eat to your heart's content. Shortly after the order was delivered, Tiudung could not believe that he allowed himself to eat such delicious food. He decided to start with the 300 wen braised pork first. After what he ate during the apocalypse, this was delicious. He felt extremely happy. He couldn't hold back any longer and ate like a hungry tiger. In no time, the food table was almost cleared. Suddenly, someone called his phone. It was Thukna Thui Tin's best friend. It also meant that Thui Tin had complained to her about what happened earlier. He immediately picked up the phone. A loud scream rang out. She demanded an explanation for why he dared to treat Thoi Tin like that. She was talking nonsense. Thoi Tin just wanted him to show his sincerity. If the assets didn't have Thoi Tin's name on them, then what love would there be? In fact, Thoi Tin had only tested him like that. But he couldn't bear it. If he brought 1 million in cash to kowtow and apologize, she would help him persuade Thoi Tin. Otherwise, they would break up. After she finished speaking, he lost his patience and shouted loudly, "What are you two worthy to test this guy? Get lost." Thuk Na wanted to continue talking, but he didn't let her finish and hung up. Tiu Dung now feels fed up with these money-hungry girls. He doesn't care about them anymore. The most important thing now is to do the quest find and buy a suitable piece of land where you can build a strong base, not only easy to defend, but also close to water and forest. The next morning, he went to the real estate office. Tiu Dung was greeted by a female employee who asked him if he came to buy or rent a house. "You said neither you want to buy a more valuable one." Suddenly, a marketing supervisor appeared and ordered employee Tio Nin to bring the tissue box because she needed a lot of tissue today. She said she had a customer, but it was useless. Director Chu ignored her and scolded her for forgetting everything he taught her. This guy also said she couldn't become a real estate agent because she couldn't read people. He looked down on him, saying he was just a poor loser who couldn't even afford a house or a toilet. What kind of customer was that? Seeing his arrogant attitude, he immediately decided to teach him a lesson. He mocked him, looking down on others with his eyes. At this moment, he showed disdain and promised that if he could buy a toilet, he would live stream-eating shit. As if achieving his goal, he immediately laughed contemptuously. "You said it yourself, you guarantee to find the hottest place for him." Tiu Dung said today he didn't come to buy or rent a house, but came to buy land, as he said that he showed a card in front of everyone. The customers around him were shocked. This was the first time they saw someone rich enough to buy land. Hearing that, Tiu Nin immediately invited him to introduce the details. Director Chu saw this, and his teeth clenched tightly. He believed that he was just showing off. He was sure that when it came time to pay, he wouldn't be able to pay. Tio Nin then gave him a document about the land for him to look at while she explained. But he refused, because for him these things were unnecessary, because he immediately made his request to see if they had any suitable places. "You want a piece of land with its back to a mountain next to a river, with a flowing water source and convenient transportation. If there is a construction on the land like a factory or a large building, that would be best. To find a place that suits your request," Tio Nin said, "I need some time." But Director Chu appeared behind him. He confirmed that the land in the eastern part of the city was suitable for his requirements. Hearing that Tiu Nin thought that it was an unreasonable place, that place was a plot in Tradiepthan on the land. There was also an unfinished factory. It was not finished, yet this place could not be sold. He didn't think so. He scolded. "What are you selling? This poor bastard made such a dirty request clearly. He didn't want to buy the land. Why did he come looking for trouble?" As for Tiu Dung, he didn't care about the land later, as long as it met his requirements. The unfinished factories weren't a problem, on the contrary, it was an advantage later on. After examining it in detail, he confirmed that this was the place he was looking for with the barbed wire fence. This place would be easy to defend, and the unfinished factory would save him the effort of building a base. Tiu Dung decided to buy this land. He also said he would sign the contract right now and was ready to pay for the purchase. Hearing him make such a quick decision, Tiu Nin felt extremely shocked. She didn't expect him to want to buy the plot of land with the factory under construction. Tiu Dung asked her to do it, but because someone couldn't wait and wanted to eat that shit. In no time, the director held the invoice in his hand and could not believe his eyes. He could not believe that someone had deposited 300,000 and spent several million to buy a piece of land with an unfinished factory on it. This was truly crazy to him. Tiu Dung reminded before leaving, "I have paid the bill now. It is his turn to perform the shit-eating act." Other customers asked the manager to hurry up because they had started the live stream, one even guaranteed to give him something hot. Just like that, Tiu Dung has completed the first step of the mission. The system announced that now is the time to do the second step. Tiu Dung has spent all the money to buy land, and now there is only one thing to do, which is to earn money to stock up on goods for the apocalypse. When he left the real estate office, Tiu Dung was recognized by an old acquaintance. The man was puzzled as to why he was here. Of course, all of this man's questions flew out of his head when he saw what was happening inside. Employees and customers are forcing Director Chi to fulfill his promise while he desperately asks for help. I don't want to eat shit. At the same time, Thoi Tin was painting her nails and enjoying life as usual, when suddenly she received a call from Lee Thu Hung. He asked, "Did you know that Tu Dung went to real estate to buy land?" Of course she didn't know, and was extremely surprised to hear that she wondered how he earned so much money. Lee Thu Hung said it was 300,000 yuan. It must be the dowry money he had saved up. Hearing these words, she was furious that bastard dared to use her money. Lee Thu Hung said she should calm down and not be angry. Instead, go find Teo Dung and ask what was going on. But she was blind and furious. She wouldn't ask him anything. That bastard was using her money and she would expose him today. On Tu Dung's side, he had his own worries buying goods, and building a base required a lot of money. Suddenly he stopped thinking because of the noise outside. It was Thoi Tin with her friend. She was very angry and said, "How dare you spend my money?" Tu Dung still doesn't understand what she is talking about. Thoi Tin shouted again, "How dare you use the dowry money to buy land? That money belongs to me, because you bought the land with that money, so it also belongs to me." Tu Dung didn't even know how to respond to this woman's crazy statements. Finally, you decided to solve her problem in a way that even an idiot like her can understand. "I'm telling you, I have a lot of money, but I won't spend a single cent on you anymore. Besides, I know your relationship with that Lee Thu Hung." Thoi Tin didn't understand what was going on, and how he knew that secret she and Lee Thu Hung were very careful when renting a room. Her friend also didn't know about them, and didn't understand why her friend didn't talk about such an important matter with her from the beginning, but she still thought that Teo Dung was misunderstanding. Couples in love don't quarrel. She was dating that middle-aged man and didn't love me. The two of them were a couple, then kicked them both out, go away. The friend asked Teo Tin, "Why didn't you tell me such a big thing? Do you really like that middle-aged guy, Lee Thu Hung? It's nothing serious. We only rented a room a few times, then it's really ruined. There's no other choice. Let's go home first and make a new plan." At this moment, Thuk Na thought to herself, "If you and Kwong Teo Dung have already broken up, then I won't be polite anymore. Who told you we are good sisters? I will take revenge for you." The next day, Teo Dung came to his land with the construction team. He wanted to renovate this factory and asked the foreman how long it would take to complete it. After a detailed analysis, Foreman Lee summarized that reinforcing the wall, building a guard tower, installing steel mesh, adding thick steel doors, bulletproof tempered glass, etc., was a time-consuming process. "But I'm concerned with a more important matter. My friend, what power have you offended to the point of having to build such a fortress? You hear that and speak up. You shouldn't ask too much because knowing too much won't bring anything good. I just want to know the cost to complete the job in 1 month." Foreman Lee replied, "It couldn't be done within a month." Teo Dung didn't care. He said if he couldn't, but surely the whole company could. But the foreman still hesitated. At first, he thought he was worried about the workers' health. This was the first time he met a foreman who cared about the workers like that, but it turned out he did it because they asked for more money. He said it would take a lot of money. Teo Dung asked him for a price. Foreman Lee calculated if they had to complete the project in 1 month, the workers would have to work day and night. Then the cost would be 20 million, and they wanted to receive a deposit of 5 million before starting construction. However, this option did not suit. Teo Dung, he wanted them to start working immediately, and he would transfer the money within 1 week. The construction company did not need to worry that he would not pay. If he could not pay, the land would belong to them. Suddenly, Thuk Na appeared on the construction site. She hugged Teo Dung's arm and asked, "What is Mr. Kwong doing here?" Kwong Teo Dung really hates this evil woman. In her previous life, she and Thoi Tin swindled all my assets. This life I will make you pay back. Double all her efforts were in vain. She asked, "Is this the land you bought? This place has such beautiful scenery. Teo Dung, do you want to build a villa here?" As she spoke, she rubbed her chest against his arm. Teo Dung hated her and threw his hands away. "What I build here has nothing to do with you." Seeing this attitude, she didn't understand what was going on. Since when did a coward like him behave so strangely? Usually, just gently touching his hand was enough to make him blush and his heart pound. But today, why was nothing effective? While Teo Dung was directing the surveying work, Thuk Na told herself she could not miss this golden opportunity. Thoi Tin ruined everything with her affair, so she was determined that this land must be returned to her. Teo Dung went home and wondered how he could earn more money. After mortgaging the house to the bank, He only received a loan of 3 million yuan, which was not enough to cover the entire construction period. At first, Tiu Dung thought of a way, but the apocalypse was inevitable, and if he sold the house to a few people, it wouldn't make any sense. There was a knock on the door. It was the annoying old neighbor he lived downstairs, and his name was Lai Daijia. He is a rich old man, owns apartments on the first and second floors, and always wants to buy the third floor from Tiu Dung, but he does not agree to sell, so this old man has done all kinds of dirty things like painting the door, littering, placing funeral wreaths, and breaking the locks. He's done enough dirty work, and now he's complaining as soon as he opens the door. "Were you dancing disco last night?" Tiu Dung also shouted. "You have to stop. I was already asleep at 10 o'clock last night. What are you jumping for? You're still talking nonsense. I don't care. I don't need to know. I've heard before he could finish his sentence." Tiu Dung said, Okay, I know you only want my house. I can't stand it anymore. I just need to sell it to you, right? The old man couldn't believe his ears, but Tiu Dung had one condition. "I want to stay in the house for another 6 months until I find a new place, but you have to transfer 5 million yuan into my account immediately, so I can pay the deposit for the new house. If you do not agree to this condition, then forget it, there is no transaction." The greedy old man couldn't miss this, so he happily agreed. He also carefully prevented Tiu Dung from signing the contract so that he wouldn't change his mind later. This doesn't matter to Tiu Dung. That damn old man will still die in his house when the apocalypse begins. Once old Lai transferred 5 million yuan plus the loan from the bank, Tiu Dung had collected 8 million yuan. Now it was time to complete the second task and receive the reward. Let's go to the biggest supermarket that will be the perfect place for this mission. Tiu Dung needs to stock up on goods for the next year. At this moment, he was rushing to shop to complete the displayed mission progress, preparing necessities, 359 to 365 days. People around looked at him like he was crazy and stayed away. Finally, he pulled a series of shopping carts to the checkout counter. The people around still don't understand why Tiu Dung bought so many things. They just laugh at him like an idiot for believing in rumors about the apocalypse and the end of the world. But their conversations were meaningless. The most important thing was that Tiu Dung had completed the system's mission and received 10 points. Among all the options available in the system store, the main character supply box was worth 10 points, and he didn't hesitate to exchange 10 bonus points this time. After change. Then this mystery box appeared. He opened it and received a level 1 space ring. The characteristic is that the ring contains a 500 cubic meter wide space. Time does not work in space. Tiu Dung was extremely happy. Haha, I guessed, right? I drew a yellow card, the space is still. So that means the items inside won't be damaged. This is an amazing item. The fact that the time inside the ring stands still means you can keep fresh items inside and they will never go bad. After receiving the item, a new quest will also appear. New quest requirement: 10 years of abundant supplies for 10 years reward, 20 points. Suddenly, a loud shout rang out. Who is it? Who is harassing the person who came was the captain of the supermarket security team with 2 people following behind. He received information that a madman was causing trouble, and as soon as he arrived, he recognized Kuang Tiu Dung. Tiu Dung also knows him. His name is Duong Dao. He studied in the same high school as Tiu Dung, and is the dog that follows and licks the butt of that bully, Truong Thang Triet. He is best at bullying the weak and fearing the strong. In the past, he blackmailed students for that Truong Thang Triet, and Tiu Dung often had conflicts with him today. Tiu Dung did not expect to meet him here. Duong Dao pointed straight at his face and said, Huong Tiu, Dung, you quickly return all these things to where they came from. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you. Tiu Dung calmly said, You still haven't changed at all. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong. I just came to buy something. Is this how you Huan fat treat customers? Hearing that, he pointed at Tiu Dung and demanded payment for the items right now, or else don't blame him. After 1 hour, all the cashiers in the supermarket, after calculating hard, finally gave the price of all the items. Total is 568,843 yuan. Duong Dao immediately demanded payment. And Tiu Dung did not hesitate to use the credit card and swiped it decisively. Notification rang, beep transfer successful. Seeing that, he was quite shocked and then turned around to leave, but it wasn't easy. Tiu Dung told him, Wait a minute. Duong Dao was called back and got angry. What are you going to do? You just had such an unsightly attitude now. I want a public apology. Otherwise, I will return all these items. He thought he had gone too far and was just looking for trouble. However, there were too many observers around, They saw everything, and completely supported Tiudung. He recorded everything on video and threatened Duong Dao that he would make him famous all over the internet if he didn't apologize for what just happened. Tiudung also promised that if the apology was sincere, he would buy 10 times more goods here like this. If Duong Dao doesn't believe you can let him take the phone to check your balance. Duong Dao could not believe his eyes when he saw 7 million yuan displayed in his account. Tiudung just asked him to apologize, then he would continue shopping here. At this time, he was fighting with his self-esteem. This battle didn't last too long before he admitted defeat. The pressure was too great, he had to surrender and apologize to Tiudung. He put his hand on his head and said, "I advise you not to be so reckless like before, because you will never know how the situation will develop." At this time, Duong Dao pretended to be kind. He asked why he bought so many things. Tiudung simply replied, "This is none of your business. I am planning a big deal." In this case, Duong Dao realized what he needed to do. The items in the supermarket's warehouse were not enough. If Tiudung wanted to make a big deal, he told him to find a distributor, and he knew one. Then Duong Dao immediately called Truong Thang Triet, "Big brother, I just found a big order." Tiudung heard that and also realized. He thought to himself, some people never change. These two bullies are still working together now. Who knows how much money they have defrauded the supermarket. In no time, the two arrived at the warehouse. An expensive car drove up to where they were standing. At this time, a middle-aged man with a rather experienced appearance got out of the car. Truong Thang Triet asked, "Is this the distinguished guest you were talking about?" Duong Dao replied, "This is Kuong Tiudung. Do you remember?" He frowned in doubt. "Who are you talking about?" Duong Dao replied, "It's Kuong Tiudung, our high school classmate." Truong Thang Triet heard that and pondered for a while, then remembered. Then he spoke up and puffed the cigarette in Kuong Tiudung's face, looked down and said, "I remember now. When was that stubborn guy?" His eyes gradually changed from cold to contempt. He lifted Kuong Tiudung's shirt with one hand and asked, "What brand is this?" He smirked. "You're not the type of person who likes to show off." Kuong Tiudung also looked at him indifferently and replied, "What brand do I know? I just bought it randomly on the sidewalk." His attitude made him angry. He turned to scold, "Duong Dao, is this the guy you call a big customer? Damn it, this is a waste of my time." Duong Dao got his ass kicked and hurriedly explained he really is a big customer. The boss was angry. "Big customer my ass. I have been in society for so many years. Can't I see who has money and who doesn't?" Kuong Tiudung was used to being looked down upon, so he didn't feel anything. He said, "It seems like my temperament is really not good. Even an illiterate blind man can look down on me." Truong Thang Triet immediately got angry, grabbed his collar and shouted, "What did you say?" Kuong Tiudung replied, "I said you are the type of person who looks down on others." Truong Thang Triet asked back, "You dare say I am uneducated?" Kuong Tiudung thought to himself, "This guy must have a problem with his ears." Then he said, "I said, you have eyes for looking down on others, right?" Duong Dao panicked and called out, "Brother Dung. Brother Dung, don't poke fun at other people's pain anymore. He is really uneducated. That's why people call him uneducated." Duong Dao stood up and said a few words to reconcile, but it didn't work. Just got kicked and cursed back, "You too. If you can't say anything nice, then shut up for me." After kicking his underling, he turned to Kuong Tiudung and said, "Okay, as for this big customer, if you don't buy a batch of my goods today, don't leave on 2 feet today." Kuong Tiudung took out his phone and said, Okay, stop pulling my shirt, hurry up and give me your account number." So a moment later, Kuong Tiudung directly transferred him 1 million yuan. This Triet K looked at each number in disbelief and exclaimed, 1 million yuan was transferred, just like that. "Are you serious?" Kuong Tiudung also tiredly replied, "Stop wasting words if you don't really do it. Are you here to play with me? That's the deposit. I want to buy a shipment worth 5 million. Quickly find someone to load the goods onto the truck. When I'm done, I'll pay you the rest." He was a bit surprised for a moment, but quickly calmed down. Then he asked him again, "What goods do you want?" He replied, "Firewood, rice, oil, salt, fast food, and drinks. No need to select or check. I want them all." "Okay, follow me." Truong Thang Triet secretly laughed in his heart. He didn't think his luck would be so good. He just received a batch of food that was about to expire today and someone came to buy it. Arriving at the warehouse, Truong Thang Triet told him, "If you pay the whole thing at once, I will reduce the original wholesale price by 10%. What do you think? Kwang Tu-dung slowly approached and said, "It depends on the quality of this shipment." Picking up a bag of goods and looking at it for a while, he immediately knew it was fake. Except for the outside things, the food inside was about to expire. Le Truong Thang Triet, isn't your calculation too good? Truong Thang Triet couldn't think of Tu-dung as being quite knowledgeable. He coughed a few times and said, "How about this? If you buy all of this food that's about to expire, I'll give you a 50% discount. Okay?" Huang Tu-dung said, "No need, this 5 million of mine is only used to buy the best quality food." I thought Tu-dung would not buy this batch anymore. But unexpectedly he continued, "As for this food that is about to expire, I have other arrangements." Truong Thang Triet asked doubtfully what arrangement. Huang Tu-dung did not answer his question, but said, "According to the 50% discount you mentioned, I will buy all of this food that is about to expire with the payment terms to be paid after 1 month. This guy, Triet, was surprised when he heard that. He stuttered, Are you serious? What if the goods are expired by then, and you don't want to pay me anymore?" Huang Tu-dung replied, "Don't worry, I will send you my home address." Truong Thang Triet still felt very confused, clearly knowing that this batch of goods was about to expire, but you still bought it. "Can you tell me where you plan to distribute it?" "Distribute? No. No, there's no distribution. I'm the distributor." Huang Tu-dung walked over and patted his shoulder, smiling to himself. "All right, let's not mention this food anymore. Even though it's about to expire, it will become priceless in a few days." Truong Thang Triet couldn't figure it out, no matter how he thought about it. Hearing what Huang Tu-dung said, his head felt cold and sweat kept pouring out. "All right, let's not worry about this anymore. Just prepare enough goods for me. I'll send you the address later." At this moment, someone called Tu-dung picked up the phone to answer. On the other end was an old man's voice. He asked, "Are you the one selling the old house?" Hearing this, he wanted to turn around and leave while saying to Truong Thang Triet, "I still have work to do. Remember to quickly handle the food for me." Seeing him leave, Duong Dao then smiled and looked at Truong Thang Triet and said, "Triet ka, I didn't lie to you, right?" Truong Thang Triet was still angry and cursed under his breath. Damn it. This guy comes from an ordinary family. Why did he suddenly become so rich? The scene changed back to Tu-dung's side. An old man just met him and directly handed him a bag of money and said, "Mr. Kuong, this is 400,000 deposit. I can accept your condition of leaving the house after 3 months. Let's sign the contract now." Tu-dung felt that he was too trusting. He didn't even see the house carefully, but already wanted to put down a deposit and sign a contract. Was he that eager to buy my house? After thinking about it, he said, "Old man, why are you in such a hurry?" The old man also answered honestly, "Not hiding anything from you. My niece is about to transfer to another school and urgently needs a house to live in. I have looked around this area several times. Only your area is the only one for sale. Mr. Kuong, you absolutely cannot change your mind." Huang Tu-dung's expression became sinister for a cunning person. "Old man, you are too honest. You told me everything as soon as we met. Aren't you afraid that I will increase the price of the house?" The old man then panicked and said, "Mr. Kuong, the money to buy this house is all the savings of my family for 2 generations. You can't do that." Huang Tu-dung sighed and then said, "Don't worry, old man. I'm just joking. I won't go back on my word." So he took the old man's roughly handwritten contract and signed it without thinking too much. The old man saw that and felt relieved, revealing a satisfied look. Seeing him leave, he felt that he was too kind and honest. With this personality, he and his niece could not survive even 1 month in the upcoming apocalypse. So his common sense arose. Only then did he stop for a beat and say, "That's right, old man, wait a minute. Tell me where you live." The next morning, Huang Tu-dung came to supervise the construction site again. The foreman saw him and came forward warmly and said, "Boss Huang, this February's budget." He replied quickly, "We'll send it to you later. How is the construction progress?" The two of them walked into the warehouse. He started pointing around and said, 7 or 8 parts have already been completed. Look at this wall. This door is absolutely safe and reliable. What about the warehouse? The warehouse was rebuilt from the previous factory. It has now been cleaned up so it can be used at any time. Very good. After saying that call, Truong Thang Triet, you quickly bring the things I bought here. Also that afternoon, the staff came and went busily. They pushed the boxes onto the shelves. Each of them was transferred 2,000 yuan to transport these items in. feeling that the boss was really generous and felt that this place was like a shelter for him. Fresh foods and perishable fruits should be kept separately. Don't mix them up. Yes, sir, you can rest assured. The move was finished late in the evening, and then the group of people gradually left. Dong looked at his property and admired himself. In the apocalypse, he was the master. Mission announcement rings 10 years of fullness. Mission completed. Accumulated points plus 20. Current accumulated points 20. The system's shopping mall has a new thing. Look inside the shopping store. He saw that the new chest was a level 1 ability awakening supply chest requiring 10 points of accumulation. He thought to himself, his luck was too good. Couldn't he have possessed the ability before the apocalypse? Without hesitation, he immediately picked up the awakening supply chest. The notification rang. He received 1 awakening supply chest. The remaining points were 10. The chest opens. Congratulations, you have received. Level 1. Spiritual elegance characteristic can detect whether the opponent has hostility towards you or not. Dong laughed happily again. Being able to detect other people's hostility could be considered the most useful ability in the apocalypse. Then announce new mission. Fully equipped. Mission request. Arm yourself. 0% mission reward. 10 points, plus random reward. Even if this mission wasn't given, isn't this something I should be doing? Scene change at Black Market now night. Dong was leisurely walking around. The sound of bargaining could be heard on both sides of the road. Suddenly there was a sound that made him feel quite familiar. Hey, make it cheaper. 300 yuan, alas. How can there be such a bargain? This jade bracelet is clearly fake. I'll buy it for 300 if you say it. You'll still make a lot of money, so are you selling it or not? If not, I'll go, okay, stop yelling. If you sell it, then sell it. So this person is that bastard, Lai Thu Hung. He even went to the black market to buy a fake bracelet, that bitch. Thoi Tin is really stupid to be fooled by this thing. He cursed under his breath, then ignored him and turned his eyes to the other stall. He smiled happily, found it. Dong went to the counter, then sat down, picked up a small knife, and asked the owner if he had better quality goods. The other replied, that is a good sword. If you want to buy the real thing, buy it and sharpen it. Otherwise, just buy a stick. Dong turned serious and said, not very good. I need the real thing. The other person also frowned and asked, what do you mean want to cause trouble? Dong did not explain anything further, but directly transferred the money. A notification rang out, your account has received 200,000 yuan. This person immediately froze. He said, don't get excited. I really want to buy something. The other person didn't know what to say. He looked at the guy sitting behind and said, Tu Kwang, come and watch the store for me. Then he pointed to one side and said, it's not convenient to talk out here. Please come over here. The two then went into an alley, then into a house. In it, the other guy took out a gun in front of Dong and said, brother, here, we have a homemade gun. Killing a few chickens is no problem. Just need powder and steel balls. What do you think? Dong directly replied, no. The other person heard this and didn't know what to say. After pondering for a while, he said, the effectiveness of this gun is not much different from the current pistols. It costs 5,000 yuan and uses 95mm bullets. You can buy bullets from me for 5 yuan a round. What do you think? Dong's face darkened. He frowned and reluctantly said, it's okay, but I already paid you 200,000 yuan before and now you're selling me. This isn't that too inappropriate. The other person asked doubtfully, pay in advance. What is there still more? Dong said 10% down payment, 2 million more all to buy weapons. The other person couldn't believe it when he heard that. He stammered, big brother, what kind of business do you have? Why would you come to me for this kind of transaction? Before I didn't care about these trivial matters. It was mainly handled by other juniors. But recently, something happened. But don't ask too much. Just let me know if you can do it or not. Although the other guy said no, he tiptoed to lock the door. Then he opened the curtains and looked around, looking very mysterious. After a while, after checking the surroundings carefully, he put on a serious face and said, you found the right person. I can do this for you. You write down a list of things you need. Then I will give you an address 2 days later at 12 o'clock. You can come to the address I wrote to pick up the goods. Remember to bring cash. After a while of discussing the transaction, Dong suddenly heard a familiar sound. Hey, isn't this Dong? I didn't expect to meet you in this black market. No wonder I heard that you've been very generous lately. You even ignored Tin Tin. It seems like your family has some treasures. How I saw the things you did on social networking sites recently. Are you imitating people lying on their backs to make money selling everything just to live comfortably? Tiudong looked at him like an idiot. He also wanted to try some interesting things. Thinking of this, Tiudong's eyes lit up. His spiritual eye was just released. On the heads of the other two people, icons, like expressions, appeared. Lai Thu Hung's was a frowning expression. The other guy's was a friendly expression. He secretly thought that this was indeed a useful ability. Only then did he turn to him and say, "That's right. Lie on your back. By the way, you're strange. Are you planning to trick Kui Jing with these fake and old things?" And that's right. She was my ex-girlfriend before. These cheap things suit her very well. His expression changed from frown to anger. He shouted, "What did you say?" "Big brother. Do you know this person?" "Yeah, an acquaintance. No, it's more accurate to say close friend." "Oh," the other guy understood and said, "Big brother, just do your job. I'll help you teach him a lesson." Turn away and reply, "Okay, but remember not to kill him. I have other plans for his life." And then out of nowhere, a few more people appeared. They slowly approached Li Thu Hung, who was now scared pale. He shouted quickly, "What do you want to do? I'm telling you, I am realizing words can't scare them." His tone also changed. "You. No, big brother, take your time and say it." I don't know how much time passed. He fell to the ground. His body was covered in trample marks and dirt. He gritted his teeth and cursed, "Tiudong, you damn dog, just, you wait." Time flies. 2 days have passed. Went out and came back with a big truck. Then he moved it into the warehouse. There were many guns and ammunition of all kinds on the car. The system notification rang. The mission was armed to the teeth. The accumulated points added 10 points. Currently, 20 points. Additional rewards have been issued. Reward content, physical enhancement medicine +2. Holding the syringe in his hand, Tiudong unexpectedly got a physical enhancement drug as a reward, and it also added 2 points. So it is equivalent to 2 bottles in the system shopping center. Tiudong cleared his mind of thoughts and raised the needle. Then he thrust it hard in the palm of his hand. Along with a growl, he successfully absorbed it. The average physical strength of an adult male is 5 points now. With the addition of 2 points, his strength has increased by 40%. Thinking of this, Tiudong opened a shopping mall again, thinking simply that if he had to use it, he might as well use it all at once. Then there were the painful screams from the creation process that he emitted. He has 8 physical points, 60% stronger than normal people. Now he really wanted to try this power, so he glanced at a corner of the warehouse where a few remaining iron bars were scattered. Tiudong walked over, picked up a stick, and looked at it for a while. Then he shouted loudly and kicked hard. The iron bar was immediately bent. Then he was thrown hard into the wall. He looked at the result and shouted, "With my current strength, I can now break the iron bar with my bare hands." Even fighting zombies in the early days of the apocalypse was no problem anymore. Looking back at his weapons cart, he felt that these things didn't take up much space, so it would be safer to put them in the space ring, thinking that he immediately absorbed them all into his ring. Looking around once more, he remembered that in 2 days, it would be the first day of the apocalypse. He thought about whether there was anything left to do. Speaking of this, he immediately remembered the old man from before. With his honest personality, Tiudong thought he had to do something. Miserably frowning for a moment, he shook his head and patted his forehead. He himself had experienced the evil of humanity, but still found it hard to ignore the plight of the poor. "Never mind, I'll leave some necessary items for the old man when the apocalypse comes. How long they survive will depend on themselves. This can also be considered as a way to repay them for funding my plan." After leaving the shelter that needed to be renovated, Tiudong drove to a rental apartment complex. Getting out of the car, he sighed. Oh dear. Luckily, he had GPS. Otherwise, it would be difficult to find this place. As he walked up the stairs, he muttered to himself, "It seems that this old man is really not rich, renting such a cheap house, and even renting the top floor." Stopped at the 4th floor of the apartment building. When he was about to knock on the door, he suddenly remembered something. "Wait first. You need to get the thing you need to give, otherwise it will be difficult to explain later." A thought flashed in his mind. The space ring emitted light, and immediately boxes of supplies were piled up in front of the old man's house. Heard someone knocking on the door inside. Someone immediately came and said, "Come here, wait a minute." As soon as I opened the door, the old man said, "I will definitely pay the rent next time." When he looked closely at the person in front of him, the old man realized it was Kuong Tiudong. He stammered, "Are you Mr. Kuong?" Here he is, looking at the strange boxes around. He doesn't understand what's going on. Tiudong didn't explain much, just said, I'll explain later. First, bring these things in, don't let the neighbors see. After 15 minutes, all the boxes were brought into the house. The old man said breathlessly, You young people are still full of energy. You carried so many things at once without breaking a sweat. Tiudong walked around the room and observed that it felt quite good. The door was barely usable. Old man, you should listen carefully to what I'm about to say. You should plan and use these supplies carefully. If you can do it, it will be enough for 2 people to live for half a year. This world, speaking of this, Tiudong was suddenly stunned when he saw the photo on the table. The old man saw it and asked suspiciously, What's wrong, Mr. Kuong? Tiudong looked at the girl in the photo with the old man and quickly recognized that this girl was San San. He looked at the photo for a moment and then said, Old man, is your granddaughter's name Man San San? The old man asked in surprise. How did you know I don't remember mentioning my niece's name? Kuong Tiudong asked where the old man's niece was. Now the old man replied, She was still studying in the countryside. We just got your room and transferred to the new school. The procedures are almost complete. Tiudong recalled the past in her previous life. Sansan once said that in order to save her, her grandfather risked his life and rushed into the middle school, which had no way out. Even though he saved Sansan, he died inside. Now that I've been reborn, I will help her make up for the regrets from my previous life in this life. Thinking for a while, Tiudong turned back and said to the old man, Old man, that room is mine. You guys shouldn't go there anymore. Old man heard that and panicked and shouted, Mr. Kuong, you don't want to change halfway, do you? You can't. Kuong Tiudong stepped forward and patted his shoulder and said, Old man, listen to me first. Starting tomorrow, this world will become a living hell. Whether it's my room or your granddaughter's education, it doesn't matter anymore. Now quickly come with me to San San's school and pick her up. Then I will arrange new accommodations for both of you. The old man was bewildered. Mr. Kuong, what are you talking about? I can't understand anything. Tiudong thought to himself. The old man is getting old this year. There are many things that are difficult to understand. How should I explain to him? After thinking for a while, he began to ask him, Does the old man know about the famine? The old man replied, Yes, I know. So in those years of famine, can the old man imagine how miserable and miserable people would be? Now is an era of peace and prosperity. How could a famine happen? Even if it really happened. The old man was about to say more when the next scene made him gape in amazement. He only saw Tiudong raise one hand, the space in front suddenly distorted in the blink of an eye, the surrounding furniture disappeared without a trace. The old man said in utter confusion, Where did all the things go? The pile of supplies completely disappeared. Mr. Kuong, what kind of magic is this? Tiudong said loudly, I have superpowers and I can also predict the future. If you and San San want to survive, then from now on, listen to me. Okay? Where is San San's school? The old man knew that things were not as simple as he had imagined. After a few seconds of mental struggle, they quickly got into the car. After about an hour on the highway, Tiudong stopped in front of a high school. As soon as he got off the car, he asked, What class or dorm does San San study in? Does the old man know? If he does, that's good. Hurry up. The scene changes to a corner of the schoolyard where a group of students are surrounding a girl as if she is being bullied. This situation attracts the attention of many other students. After slapping San San, the woman in black immediately cursed loudly. You bitch, I really don't understand what makes you better than me. Why does Truong Hu, then like you? San San spoke in a weak voice after being slapped. I told you I don't want to be close to him. He just came here himself before he could finish speaking. The woman in white rushed over and kicked San San, then yelled, You're making excuses. The black-haired woman walked over, grabbed her head, glared at her and said, What do you mean? You said Truong Hu Than likes you. You dare to look down on us. Just as they were about to slap San San a few more times, suddenly, an angry voice rang out, Hey, what are you doing, these guys? Saw the old man and turned around to say disdainfully, Oh, isn't that your useless old man? The old man saw his niece being bullied and pointed and shouted, What are you doing? Let go of San San. Hearing that, the male students started to rush out, taking out the things in their hands and threatening old man get lost quickly. This is our children's business. An old man like you who is about to fall into a pit shouldn't interfere. I don't care what they have. If you touch my granddaughter, I will risk my old life to fight you. You animals, didn't your parents teach you? Why are you bullying your classmates? You old bastard, lie down for me. A guy without any restraint tried to swing a baseball bat at your head. At this moment, a hand gently blocked his attack. The person who stopped him was none other than Dung. He looked at him with cold eyes and said, "You're still young, but you don't want to study, but you're imitating other people and becoming a gangster." The people around saw this and said a few sarcastic things. "Where did this poor guy come from, you bastard? I never heard you had a brother." As soon as they finished speaking, they saw Dung kick him away, causing him to roll onto the ground. The other two guys started to worry. Now they thought he had practiced martial arts, so they planned to attack him together. So then they slowly surrounded Dung, their eyes glaring at each other. As soon as the guy behind shouted, he raised his stick and charged towards Dung. In the blink of an eye, he had already bent down to avoid this attack, but the other guy hadn't stopped yet and swung again. In Dung's eyes, this was like looking at a child playing. The speed was extremely slow. The other guy missed the second time and was grabbed by the shirt. Then he forcefully knocked him down to the ground. Then another guy stabbed him with a knife, but Dung caught it easily with one hand. Then he used his foot to sweep across his lower body. The result was the same as the other guy being knocked out by him. The two of them lay there unconscious. After his physical enhancement, Dung's reactions also increased faster. He was 18 times stronger than a normal person, so it was extremely easy for him to defeat these guys. After finishing the two guys, Dung slowly walked towards the two girls, making her scared and shout, What do you want to do?" Dung came forward and said nothing, then gave her a slap. Still don't understand what just happened. He grabbed another guy's hair and pulled him back. Then he put a knife to her neck and said coldly, "You like pulling other people's hair, don't you?" The other woman was so scared that she stuttered a few sentences but couldn't utter a single word. Dung's eyes gradually became cold. The hand holding the knife without hesitation cut across a line. Under her horrified eyes, she fell to the ground. Long, silky hair is gone now. She was shocked and couldn't believe it. "Hair, my hair. You bastard, how dare you cut my hair? Damn it, unforgivable motherfucker." Dung threw the hair back to her coldly, saying, "Long hair will only be an obstacle for her." She didn't understand anything and yelled, "What the hell are you fixing again?" Dung didn't want to say much to her. He coldly said, "One sentence she will know in a few days. Short. Hair can save her life. San, let's go." The three of us then got in the car and returned. Sitting in the car, the old man explained to San that she didn't need to go to school anymore. Famine was coming soon. Right now, finding a way to survive was the most important thing. San could not believe these words. She thought he had been led by the nose by some scam calls online. "This time I'm sure I've been cheated out of a lot of money again." Hearing the two people behind him arguing, Dung secretly laughed. He told himself that in this life he would definitely protect San. He turned back and said, "This time your grandfather was really not fooled, and the news about the famine was told to him by me." Only now did San notice this guy, Dung, not knowing why he came here. What was his purpose? Dung said, "I am Kwong Dung. You can call me Dunga." San said, "Brother Xiaoyong, thank you for helping me teach those people a lesson." He said, "Don't worry about those people. They can only live for 8 days at most." San asked in confusion, "What do you mean, is there really a famine?" Dung replied, "The famine was actually something I made up to make it easier for your grandfather to understand." San still half believed and half doubted, asking him again, "So tell me the world is peaceful and prosperous like this. Where did the famine come from?" Kwong Dung replied, "Neither fast nor slow. What really came was the apocalypse, even more terrifying than famine." Apocalypse. San couldn't believe her ears. Her whole body was cold. If this news was true, it was truly too shocking. Dung silently looked at the sky for a moment, then said softly, "The time was probably not too far." She opened her phone, checked the short videos and news. If nothing unexpected happens, there might be some related clues. San still doesn't completely believe it. At this moment, she opens the news on her phone and swipes a few times. Sure enough, an unusual video appears. In the video, a pale-skinned man appeared, his mouth continuously growling. Something viewers said he suddenly became crazy and bit someone. He is currently being controlled by the police. San scrolled a few more times and found another new news. A thick fog appeared throughout the city with a strange smell. Some people inhaled it and went crazy biting people. Then terrifying screams rang out. Teodung had predicted this and secretly said, sure enough, the signs of the apocalypse had appeared. San now also believed it. 80–90%. Her face showed worry. Teodung continued, tomorrow would be the first day of the apocalypse. Toxic smog will cover several provinces, including Province B. This toxic smog will affect all living things. Gradually, most of humanity will turn into zombies. There are also some people who are not immune after they die. They will become members of the zombie horde, Kwang Teodung said, with a serious face. She was a young person. She knew what a zombie was, right? San really knew what a zombie was. Who watched a lot of movies would be unfamiliar with this type of monster. It was just that this was too unbelievable. Wait until tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, or next week. All of these things would really happen. By then, she wouldn't find it strange anymore. Looking at the road he was walking on, full of cars lined up one after another, Teodung angrily cursed. Damn, I didn't expect there to be a traffic jam at this time. Even the emergency lane ahead was packed with cars. The old man spoke worriedly. So, Mr. Kwang, we are stuck in traffic here to prevent the zombies you mentioned from catching up here, or else Teodung immediately spoke up to reassure him. Don't worry, old man. This is not an emergency yet. He frowned slightly. Kwang Teodung thought to himself, although it would take a few more days for the zombies to get out of control. But if there was another small-scale outbreak here, it wouldn't be good at all. Suddenly, at this moment in the lane next to him, a car sped up, and when it reached Teodung's car, it blatantly took over his lane. Because of his way of driving, Teodung had to brake. Suddenly, his whole body rushed forward. He cursed. Damn, it didn't turn on the turn signal and just drove into the emergency lane like it was his own road. If you are sick, why don't you go home and get treatment? Kwang Teodung got angry and cursed loudly. His arm suddenly swung the steering wheel around, immediately closed the distance so that the other guy's car had no way to get in. If you can't get in, glare at him with an unfriendly look and open your mouth to ask about his health and family. The old man sitting behind worriedly said, Mr. Kwang, the other party seems to be rich and powerful. I think we should be a little more tolerant. It's good to have one less thing to do. Teodung also didn't want to do anything as long as he didn't make a big deal out of it. He was too lazy to bother, but if someone complained about his long life, he wouldn't mind sending him off. Not long after the three people finally got out of the crowded convoy, the traffic jam had been going on for almost an hour. Just got out of the traffic jam, the car just now rushed up and chased closely behind Teodung. This bastard really doesn't know how to live or die. The other car sped up, and in a flash wanted to block the front of Teodung's car. In the car, the old man was trembling, afraid that something would happen to his niece, so he quickly advised her to stop the car and not fight on the road. Mr. Kwang don't argue with him, gritted his teeth and said resolutely, If it was before then I would have endured it, but now it's the end of the world, so there's no need to be lenient with this kind of scum. He did not hesitate when the other car rushed up to block his car. He immediately stepped on the gas and crashed straight into it. The other car, after turning a few times, crashed into the curb and died completely. A guy with a fierce face and blue veins on his face stepped down. He quickly took out his phone and shouted, Fuck you, bastard. Then he said to someone, Quickly send a traffic team here to check the camera and license plate for me. I want to let him know that there are some people that not everyone can mess with. Scene change that evening. Teodung just drove back to his shelter. The iron door opened automatically. The two people just entered and were overwhelmed by the scale of this place. It looked too grand. Kwang Teodung looked at the two and said, Go rest first. Starting tomorrow, it will be more and more harsh. The next morning, Teodung woke up early to welcome the sunlight. Looking at the quiet scene in front of him, he felt that if the world didn't end, living like this would be good. San came from behind at this time, looking very comfortable, and said, It's been a long time since I slept this much. It's really refreshing not having to go to school in the morning. Teodung looked at her and said, Are you awake? Come out with me. I'll explain a little about this fortress. The walls here are made of reinforced concrete. The remote-controlled rolling doors are also made of 3-inch thick, pure steel. Regardless of whether it's a human or a zombie, without the help of heavy weapons, there's absolutely no way to break through. Remember, without my permission, no one is allowed to enter except the three of us. San stammered. So if someone survives here, will we also see them die without saving them? Tiudong did not say much, but pulled the two people up to the observation deck. As he walked, he said, in these apocalyptic years, people's hearts are very unpredictable, and the evil nature of people will be revealed in the most honest way. Pretending to be kind only hurts others. If the survivors call for help while I'm away, then this area below can provide them with temporary shelter, but they are not allowed inside until I return. Do you understand? You two just need to say, and you'll understand. Xiaoyong took the two of them to the food warehouse again, telling them which areas of the food warehouse could be distributed. It didn't take long for the two of them to get to know the place. There was one last thing he wanted to do, which was to use his spiritual eye to check the hostile intentions of the two people. Looking at the expressions on the two people's heads made him somewhat surprised. This expression represented trust. This was the first time he saw it appear, seeing that Tiu Dung was quite reassured with them. At this time, he took out the chest from his storage bag and said weapons are the most important thing in the apocalypse. Must make sure that control is in your hands, never falling into the hands of others. This is also my final advice to you two. System Quest. Meet San again. The quest chain to meet old partners has been activated. New quest, old partners, request to find and rescue past life. Comrade Truong Chi, reward 20 points. After the system issued the mission, the direction in the city immediately showed up for him. Xiaoyong secretly exclaimed, "That's great. I was still worried about how to find my old teammates." After thinking about it, he wanted to leave immediately. Before leaving, he didn't forget to remind him again. Remember what I just said. Absolutely do not violate it. Brother Tiudong, where do you want to go to recruit soldiers and strengthen our team? Scene changed to a karaoke bar in the city center. In the room at this time, there was a group of young people singing very happily. I don't know how long it took, but two people walked out the door together. They walked and grumbled. After relieving their sadness, the two of them held each other and intended to go back. At this time, a young man accidentally bumped into a girl. He hurriedly turned back to apologize, but her boyfriend didn't give him the chance. He was angry and kicked him, cursing loudly, "This idiot, can't you walk with your eyes open?" The person who just got dumped is Truong Chi. The other friend saw that and ran over to ask. Then he turned to the other guy and shouted, "What are you doing? Why are you hitting people?" Damn, this is the first time I've seen someone dare to talk back to me. His face was full of veins. He rolled up his sleeves and slowly walked over. At this moment, in another restroom, after a sneeze, a waiter came out muttering, "Today is really unlucky. Just recovered from gastritis and got a cold outside. There are people wanting to fight. Really can't rest for a moment." He hurriedly ran to stop them and said, "Gentlemen, please calm down." "Damn it, don't you respect me? Do you know who I am?" he shouted. "Your boss will have to bow down when he sees me." Ignoring this threat, the waiter signaled for the two Truong Chi to quickly go ahead, saying that he would handle this matter. The two of them ran away without hesitation, but the aggressive guy still held the waiter back and shouted quickly, "Call your boss out here, damn it. He dares to disrespect me. I don't think he needs to work in this karaoke bar anymore." Very quickly, the two of them ran back to their room, making their friends think they were being chased by a dog. Not that it wasn't a dog, but when they came out of the bathroom, they accidentally bumped into a drunk gangster who wanted to teach them a lesson. Luckily, thanks to the quick-witted waiter, they were able to escape. A friend heard and got angry, jumped up, and decided to beat him up to teach him a lesson he would never forget. Since when did our mechanical class 3 have to give in like this? Wait, I'll call all of you here. When we get there, I don't believe you can't handle him. Truong Chi didn't want things to get any more complicated, so he waved his hand and said, Okay, we'll be graduating in less than a year, so don't cause any more trouble. Just keep singing. But of course, things didn't go as he wanted. Outside the door, suddenly heard a loud noise. A group of people with fierce faces kicked the door open and rushed in, dragging the waiter along. The four people looked at each other and their hearts jumped. They secretly said something was wrong. The leader shouted, "That's right, it's these guys, quickly kneel down for me." No one in the four of them dared to act rashly, obediently kneeling to one side. The friend next to Truong Chi seemed to not be a vegetarian and said, "Do you dare let me make a phone call?" Hearing that the other guy immediately grabbed a beer bottle and hit him on the head, "Did I give you permission to talk?" Seeing his friend suffer like that because of him, Truong Chi could only watch, blaming himself for being too weak. Just then, outside the restaurant, a car stopped in front of the door. Dong went down, looked up, and exclaimed, as expected of a student, "The end of the world is coming, and he still has the mood to sing. You go inside now?" Back inside the room, Tran Sung Truong Chi's friend fell to the ground after the other guy hit him on the head with a beer bottle, blood splattered everywhere. The other guy turned to his girlfriend and asked, "How are you? Are you no longer angry?" She replied sulkily, "What are you angry about? It's not like he touched you." Hearing that, he turned to Truong Chi and smiled evilly. Was it him? Tran Sung could not hold it in any longer. He immediately grabbed the ashtray, then aggressively rushed towards the other guy, but was stopped by his juniors. The leader angrily cursed this damn brat still wanted to fight. "Damn it, I didn't realize you were so brave." After saying that, he once again took the beer bottle and smashed it on Tran Sung's head. This time, he was knocked unconscious on the spot. Truong Chi looked at him, and his head was full of blue veins. Finally, he couldn't sit still anymore. He shouted loudly and rushed forward, wanting to fight to the death with these guys. One of Truong Chi's friends saw this scene and only dared to sit in a corner holding his head, with both hands constantly shaking in fear. At this moment, no one was paying attention. The waiter was sweating profusely and coughing nonstop. While Truong Chi's group was fighting with each other, the waiter's face began to change. His eyes were bloodshot. His mouth was drooling as he looked at them. At that moment, he jumped up and rushed to the noisiest place. One of his juniors was not paying attention and got bitten on the shoulder by him. In pain, he struggled to get out, but found this guy was too aggressive. He couldn't push him away at all. "Damn it, are you a dog? How can you be so stubborn?" Another guy wanted to run back and drag him out. As a result, he was bitten on the hand by him. Then he directly pressed him to the ground. The other guy still had no way to resist the strength of this waiter and struggled with difficulty. Suddenly, at this moment, a hand quietly grabbed the waiter's neck. This person is Dong. He used one hand to lift the waiter up without any effort. Then there was a loud bang. The waiter's pale face was pressed against the wall by him. His face did not change color at all. Dong turned around and pointed at the crowd, saying, "Quickly stop." The guy who was bitten, on the other hand, was still scared, thinking to himself that the crazy guy was as strong as a buffalo, but was held back by this kid with one hand. The boss heard his tone and angrily shouted, "Who are you?" Dong ignored him and worriedly looked at the person on the ground and asked, "Truong Chi, you weren't bitten, were you?" Although Truong Chi did not understand what was going on, he still stammered, No, what's wrong?" Dong heard that and felt somewhat reassured. "Then come here with me." "Which boss let people go so easily?" He frowned and said, "Wait, we are not done here yet." Suddenly, at this moment, one of his juniors trembled all over. He patted his head and said, "Big brother, I feel so dizzy." He suddenly felt worried and asked, "What's wrong? Are you feeling better?" He replied, "I just had a runny nose this afternoon." Looking at the wound on his body, Dong realized that it was definitely infected. He looked at him and asked, was his shoulder bitten by him? The wound on his shoulder had spread to half his face. He stammered, "Oh right, what's wrong?" Dong thought to himself, according to what he said, he was already infected with the virus, and now he was bitten so close to the head, he was afraid that he would quickly change. Thinking that under the doubtful eyes of the crowd, he pulled the waiter into a corner, then opened the bathroom door and threw him in. Then he quickly closed the door after that. He only heard the sound of the door slamming shut. Seeing that, Dong thought to himself that luckily the zombies were not smart enough to open the door. After finishing, Dong looked at Truong Chi. His hands were knuckled. Crackle Cold Eyes said, "Truong Chi, you say who needs to be dealt with here?" Hearing that, the boss's face grimaced and his veins popped out while Truong Chi was confused. "Do we know each other?" The boss couldn't hold it in any longer. He swung his fist and rushed forward, shouting, "Kid, you're a bit arrogant." Dong did not waste time to take a picture of his face. He rushed up and slammed his head on the table, breaking the glass. The junior saw his boss like that and did not hesitate to rush up. There was no sign of difficulty on Dong's face. He swung a punch, made him unconscious on the spot, foaming at the mouth. His accomplice saw him like that and ran over to ask, "What's wrong with you? No way did you get epileptic after being punched." After giving that guy a beating, Dong loudly said, "If anyone is not convinced and wants to try my fist, then come forward." But at this time, no one dared to go up anymore. Dong looked at Truong Chi and instructed helping his friend go outside to wait for me. Truong Chi nodded, then with a friend helped the unconscious Tran Sung go outside. All the thugs were in tatters, only the girlfriend was still intact. The boss was angry and was about to go out with his younger brother but was stopped at the door by Dung. He said angrily, "What do you want to do again?" Dung quickly replied, after drinking a little wine. He forgot his last name. "Right. Almost killed my brother here." The big brother felt like he was talking nonsense, so he shouted, "Get out of the way so I can go." Dung was too lazy to talk to him. She pushed him lightly and he fell inside, then immediately closed the door and locked it. The boss was furious, kept banging on the door and shouting, "Damn it, you little bastard! Open the door! I want to skin you!" "Crackle cold eyes," said Chuang-Chi. "You say who needs to be dealt with here." He shouted loudly. At this moment his eyes were red and cloudy. He raised his arms and rushed towards the boss. The two guys behind saw that and were startled and shouted, "This guy turned into a dog." Standing outside, Dung heard screams and kicking at the door from inside. He immediately thought that this group must be fighting each other. A staff member saw that the place was so noisy and came over to ask, "Sir, what's the matter? Do you need any help?" Zhang Xiaoyang said, "Lock this room completely and don't let anyone open it. Then call the hospital and the police and say that there's a patient with rabies in here. Our male lead Zhang Xiaoyang is reborn." And from there began the journey of building a base. Stock up on supplies and build your own organization with the ultimate gacha system.